What would you say that people need to be doing in each of those stages, like high school, for example, and then college, and then after college, if they decide to go to college or university or whatever?
Yeah. Well, I'd say as early on as you can is just explore, right?
Right.
Go try foie gras, go try sushi, go try whatever it is. And what those dishes are is like go try videography, go try art, go try finance, accounting, engineering,
Right.
law, and all
Right.
that sort of stuff. Because you'll find that you probably don't learn as much in school
Right.
as you would, let's say, online. There's a quote by Mark Twain, who's kind of one of those American writers. He says, "Don't let school get in the way of education."
Right. Yes.
Right. So I'd encourage folks to go and have conversations with actual doctors, lawyers, accountants, engineers. And as you have those conversations, what do you like about those conversations? What kind of interests you? It's like, wow, that sounds like a really cool thing. And then try to experience that in some shape or form. And if it's none of those are interesting, if you're more like graphically inclined, go find an artist, a graphic designer, somebody who's doing something that you feel is cool and interesting, right? And as much as you can, taste and try, because sometimes there's the actual awareness of what it is versus the actual doing itself.
Right.
Like I liken it to driving, right? So everyone has been a passenger in a car,
Right.
right? They understand driving, right? They understand the concept of turning the wheel and all that sort of stuff. But until you're actually sitting in the driver's seat and
Right.
have to be aware of all those different
Yes.
things and experience it, it's a totally different ball game, right? And some people are excited by that. Some people were terrified the first time they were behind a wheel. So which one are you? When you go and try this thing that you want to do, what is it? So I encourage folks in high school, their summers, just explore anything and everything. Go get internships, part-time jobs, freelance or whatever it is. Go to your parents' work if they had to take your kids to work year or something, or
Okay.
term or summer.
Yeah.
I think that would be a very
Okay.
amazing thing, or have kind of those experiences, or even just any courses, any learning that you can get. Just be a sponge and do that, and then at the same time build meaningful connections.
Right.
So those high school folks that you're on, get to know them, figure out how you can help them, help them learn, or whatever sort of needs that they have. And then you'll find that those connections you make in high school and university and wherever you end up being, those are the ones that kind of carry you forward. And like we're here because we know
Right.
Mr. Lucas Chang, right?
Yes.
And he's very well connected. But if everyone had kind of the same level of connection, then the world would be a much more interesting place.
Yes.
where people are actually helping out and doing things and feel a little bit more connected. So basically, from high school onwards, I'd basically encourage people to explore, and then start narrowing down and shortlisting, right? So actually pick maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 things, and then at some point pick one, maybe 2 things to focus on. Kind of that 80-20 rule.
Right.
Maybe 80% of it, do whatever it is that you found that is super awesome, and then spend 20% dabbling.
Right.
Right. And then, assuming that everything goes well on that 80%, keep going. But if you find that it's not so easy, it's not so interesting, it's not so whatever, because sometimes people try something and they like it, but it's not because they like it, it's because it's novel, it's new. Because
Right.
oftentimes people try to say, oh, this is great, but if I have to do it for another year, 2, 3, 4, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
this is kind of wearing on me. But oftentimes it's not necessarily that, it's something about it, right? Is it the learning of the skill? Is it the analytical ability? Is it the connecting with people?
Right.
Is it organizing? So oftentimes there's this transferable skill or soft skill undertone to it, because the technology and the actual thing of it
Right.
will change anyway,
Right.
right? So explore what that is for you, and then at some point just try to get really good at it, right? Because most people, if they're looking for someone, they want like the best doctor, the best lawyer,
Right.
the best engineer, the best accountant.
Right.
You don't want to hire the mediocre accountant,
Right.
the mediocre engineer or whatever. So try to be the best at whatever it is that you can be, at least
Right.
in your inner circle.
Right.
Maybe not worldwide, but at least out of the people that you know. And if it's for you, then you'll kind of go into like bigger and bigger ponds. And if it's not, then I mean you find something else. So just take the time to explore. And for folks that really want that one thing, I don't know if that's common anymore, right? Because in my parents' day, the deal or no deal, any one of those, and you do it for the next 40 years,
Yes.
type of thing. When I think about that, it's like, wow, I don't know if I could
Right.
do that and commit. So now the research is coming out is that instead of doing one thing for 40 years, you might do 4 things for 10 years or,
Right.
or 10 things for 4 years.
Right.
And even now it's kind of like you'll do 4 things at the same time and work for 4 different bosses, that sort of thing.
Right.
So figuring out what balance of that is you, right? And just being okay with it. And often communicating with your parents.
Right.
Right? Because at the end of the day, they'll probably just want you to be happy. So if you kind of say, well, mom and dad, this is what I'm looking to do, and they'll supportive or they're not. And if they're supportive, that's great for you. If they're not supportive, you have to make choices, right? In Canada, being an adult, is 18. So when you're 18, you do what you want. But if mom and dad are paying for your nice car, your house, your whatever,
Right.
well, you should live by their rules.
Yeah.
Right. And if you want to do your own thing, well, then you could always leave and find your own path. Right.
Right.
But oftentimes it'll be easier to do that for the next, call it 3, 4, 5 years, versus living for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
Kind of resenting the
Yeah.
whole relationship. So long answer to short question, but I'd say explore and then pick something and then try to get really good at it and then communicate with their parents. That'd be kind of
Right.
the summary across.